And so we have the new chapter of the new series, Ayashimon, by the guy who did Hell's Paradise. And like I mentioned before, I wasn't planning on reviewing this. I'm planning on checking out that one from the dude who made Golem Hearts when it comes out. I think next week. The Spirit Swordsman kind of series. It looks interesting, but I didn't plan on reviewing Ayashimon, but I liked it. In general, I thought that the first chapter was really easy to understand, but also really enjoyable. It didn't seem like it was trying to be too wild right off the bat, but it was more about like, trying to let you understand the main character, the scenario, the plot, and to get everything more on a very kind of comfortable basis. And I think the way that they manga did it was by just making the main character very likable and fun for the first chapter, so he was able to fill up a lot of the content and make it enjoyable without having to do a ton with the rest of the other variables that obviously took up chapter one. Different plot threads and different aspects of introduction that were put in there, because chapter ones are always very different. Because one, it's obviously the longer chapters. It's going to be like generally anything like 60 to 80 pages, and they have to do a lot in a chapter one because you're introducing everything. In reality, it's not just introducing one aspect series. You're introducing everything from chapter one, and I thought Ayashimon did a really good job in its first chapter. You have these yokai who transform into a human appearance and are all running gangs in Japan, and I think that's really cool. And I'm really hoping that if this series survives, it can branch out. Because whenever we have series that do worlds on like their own creation, their own fictional world, in terms of like everything is fresh to whatever their whole idea of the world is going to be, and whatever their fictional world is. Whereas like series that take place on Earth in like the real world setting, but obviously in their own fictional variation, but it's still like the real planet Earth. I always wish that like series like that would end up kind of branching out into other areas, like stuff like this yokai. So you could have then obviously yokai and gangs. So you could have like gangs in other countries, and then have those characters based off of folklore creatures of that area. Like imagine a cartel boss and he's the chupacabra. I think that'd be really cool. That's just one of those things that I always wish that I could see like more branching out kind of ones of these kind of cultural, again, folklore creature stories, like anything really connected to yokai, but it's just like where it can kind of expand out. I think would be really cool. But the first chapter, again, solid. I enjoyed it. I like the main cast so far. It looks like this chapter we got a second character to go in the main cast, this new girl, and she seems pretty cool. But we did get a little bit more general information from essentially how things are going on. We apparently have Ura as like how do I ever pronounce him? Ura Ra, I think that's how it's pronounced. I'll get used to eventually, but she's actually the bastard child of the boss that died, and now like she's pretty much trying to reclaim the position, and then like I guess like she wants to crush the Yakuza for her, like pretty much end what her father's whole like empire as is like a last gift to him. But they end up going and meeting like this one thing, Hashihime, the Chopstick Princess. And I just noticed that the form that she has when she's like actually in her yokai form has boobs. I just thought that was kind of funny when I re-looked at it, because I read the name, and obviously like I know Hime in Japanese is princess, so I was like, oh, well, maybe it's just the name of whatever the story is. But it's like, no, it is a chick when it she becomes back into humanoid form. And I went and looked back, and I was like, oh, I didn't notice that. I just thought that was kind of funny. I completely glossed over that in its design. I know like this dude in Hell's Paradise was given monster boobs all the time, so it's not a surprise really when you think about it. But main character Mario Kaido. I don't know if Mario's his first name or Maruo or Kaido. I'm kind of fine with either. I just always thought it was kind of funny that it's like if his first name is Kaido, as like you have the main character of a new series named Kaido, while Kaido's I guess even more so finishing kind of acts of the Wano arc in One Piece right now. But he goes up to fight the character Hamimi, or how should I pronounce it? Hashihime, sorry. and gets just completely smacked over by it, completely devastated. I'm just trying to remember what this girl's name was, because I read the chapter and then I usually skim through when I go through the review, so I'm trying to remember exactly what her name was. I like her design a lot. I think her design is really cool with like the suit. She's got like these fishnet gloves and like a veil on. This chick looks really cool. I like her design a lot, and there was just some nice back and forth, kind of like not really back and forth, some general dialogue between her and Urav. So she's like explaining the situation. She remembers the day that like her father died, and also one thing I noticed is the little spikes on the side of her head when she was younger are much smaller. And I know that could just be a hairstyle thing, but I feel like it's going to be one of those things where her hair in those designs are hiding horns, because she's a yokai. And on top of that, she's clearly she's like from a very powerful and very prestigious yokai bloodline. So whatever she is, I don't think they mentioned it, whatever she is a very high level. Like I know that one series, Bone Collection was another yokai series that I think it was at the beginning of the year. It was either this year or last year. But the main girl was like a top tier yokai in the Japanese yokai lore, so I'm guessing that's what Yura is in this scenario. But now she's mad because she believes that her father was murdered, and in kind of like revenge, but like a gift to him, she's gonna topple down the empire around him that not only that she believes had him murdered, but like to those who didn't protect him. So those who didn't do their job at keeping their boss safe. And Kaido, like, he gets back up, and I like that we don't know the full extent of his powers yet, because it's chapter 1. We don't really know, like, how far he actually is in terms of, like, his power levels. So that's still a mystery right now. But we are seeing, like, him utilize his strength in various ways. Instead of, like, just punching, I guess he adds, like, a lot of speed. So he's giving his fist a lot of kinetic energy, and then he just completely, like, beats Hashihime in a fight. Completely, like, puts her down. Not, like, defeat, but, like, takes out one of her arms, like, one of her stone arms, and completely just kind of crushes it. And he's pretty much, like, explaining, like, the fact that he's just adding speed into it, making it faster, like that fast tag. And the idea of it, he's pretty much just adding more kinetic energy, because it's like a certain level of weight and strength behind, coupled with speed into its power output. But after that point, we do get some stuff on some of the bad guy groups up and coming. Also, like, the fight was pretty impressive. We didn't get to see the whole one, but it's like that warehouse kind of they're in is like nearly destroyed. Like, you're seeing giant explosions in there, and Kaido ends up winning in the end. So, like, that just tells me he's able to fight a creature that is, like, the clash between the two of them is capable of taking down a pretty big building, which is pretty impressive for where he was in the first chapter to now. Because the first chapter, his level of superhuman strength, he picked up a car and threw it. I had notifications going up while I'm doing stuff. But that was impressive already for a human level, but this is like another step, because this is when you start getting into like crazier shonen fiction where like people are blowing up skyscrapers. Like, that's just a pathway to it, and he's not even going all out yet. So I could easily see him like getting knocked into, like, literally getting punched through a building into a skyscraper and be relatively fine, just based off of where he's displayed so far with little effort. But we find out about, also just one thing is there's a part where Urara is talking to Hashihime, and she's talking about, like, how Kaido is a pawn, and then she's like, that's right, if he's an expendable pawn, and just as I was to you, and she's like, and does that upset you? And there's, like, a part where the moon is in the background. She has this very, pretty much mostly silhouette, and then her eyes in her mouth, and, like, this evil smirk kind of design peering down at her. And I'm wondering if the moon is just for visual effect, or if it's a hint at whatever her yokai is. If I've missed completely what her yokai family is, whatever exactly what her type of yokai exactly is, comment below. I don't think it was mentioned, because that's one of the things I was looking out for, but I might have just completely skimmed over it. But we find out about the bad guy groups, like at least the first 4 that we're really going to be coming across. We have the new Enma Syndicate, the Todoroki Alliance, the Ayakashi B-Stars, and the Kori Hotel Group. The The Todoroki Alliance looks cool because they're just like a bunch of like kind of, you know, street thugs or like on motorcycles and stuff. So they're probably going to be way more kind of, I'm guessing, a like kind of brute strength fight, kind of like way more brutal, way kind of like more primal in how they do it. The second two, I'm guessing the last one is the strongest one, the like business group dudes. But I really want to see the new Enmas in it because I'm guessing that's first, considering they're mentioned first. And the bad guy looks cool. He's got like this. I don't know what that hairstyle is. It's a little strange looking, but I like his whole setup. He's got like this giant fur pimp coat. He's just this massive kind of like classic mafia style looking boss. He looks cool. I definitely want to see that guy. That guy and his whole setup because I like the biker gang one, the host club and the hotel ones, and then the you know, whatever the last one is, where they said that it's the external faction that's starting to expand. Those two I'm iffy on. The last one's probably the biggest one, considering it was the most vague. But the first one is the one I want to see the most. So I look forward to seeing how this is going to go and seeing how Kaido's going to handle this, because clearly he's having trouble just, you know, like keeping up. But everything right now is going pretty well, and I'm definitely enjoying the progress of events as you know, as the story's unfolding. We're getting at a good pace. We already have +1 ally. We already have like some of the bad guys that are coming up, which is one of the things I would definitely say for the series that acts that they definitely could have had is like, I don't know why that they can't mention bad guy groups earlier on, like within the first handful of chapters. You don't have to mention like the final boss, but have like an upcoming antagonist group to look forward to. But anyway, other than that, comment below, thumbs up the video, friend, like button, subscribe, and check out my other videos. And I appreciate it. Subscribe. Thank you all for listening. Bye.